Welcome, Weenie. Welcome to the vlog. Hey kids, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza. She's getting comfy. Hold please. This is a Weenie. I'm back there chewing the loudest bone, and her favorite spot is the cheese. We're here today to start a vlog. Why? Because I can. Because it is what I am able to do. I'm not even able to blow dry my hair today. It is still wet, but we're able to start a vlog. This is me mood reading. Because mood reading not only makes me happy, but also helps me put a dent in my never-ending TBR. Thank you. Thank you for the kisses. I'm doing my best. Honestly, everything's on fire. And so I am going to name this Reading What the I Feel Like. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention, but things are not too great out there. And we only just begun the year 2026. So do you know what makes me happy? Books. We're going to start a vlog, and the first book that we're going to be picking up is this beautiful behemoth. You've probably heard of her, Alchemized. She got herself I almost said a music deal. She's going to be putting out an album next year. This book has already been optioned for movie rights before it even was published. That being said, this was first a fan fiction, a Harry Potter fan fiction, to be more specific, but it has since been reworked and traditionally published. I have not read Manacled, which you may have heard of because even I have heard of it, and I'm not a huge fan fiction fan. Anyways, this is reworked so that it can get around some things. That being said, I think this has distanced itself from that person, she who will not be named, that is the unfortunate author of everyone's beloved childhood book series. This is if the bad guys won the war in Harry Potter and mixed with The Handmaid's Tale. I've been told this is a very dark fantasy. This has got some really messed up things that happen, and you're probably going to cry. So, that sounds fun. Let's give it a go. And that's all I really need to know. I have read traditionally published books that are based on things that were first written as fan fiction, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on the strength of the author to world build, because with fan fiction, there is no real world building necessary. The people that are seeking it out already have an understanding of the world. In a traditionally published book, you have to world build. You have to. And so my understanding is that this author does a fantastic job of that. But we're going to read Alchemized. That's what we're going to read. That's the first book we're going to pick up. Here we go. I'll check back in with you when I'm enough into it to tell you what the hell is happening without spoiling anything. How about that? All right, we are 230 pages into Alchemized. Here's what's going on. I do feel like having just a slight understanding of Harry Potter, and that this is kind of based in a similar world, although this is very much its own thing, helps in the beginning because this is very magic world building heavy in the beginning. And there is a lot of magical vocabulary that is a little hard to grapple with. It kind of feels like your eyes are crossing, but I'm okay with that. I wanted something that was heavy on the world building if it was going to be a fan fiction reimagining. Right? We have not Hermione, Helena, and she, in the opening of this book, wakes up after being in some sort of magical, painful stasis that she has been put in. Like I mentioned before, the bad guys won the wizard war in this one. So we have a different outcome. Helena, who was part of the resistance, whose side has completely been decimated, she wakes up in a state of confusion, is quickly found out by some of the big bad guys, and when they go to try and figure out why she was in this stasis, because she was unrecorded, most people that were in the stasis have died. She not only survived, but was put into this stasis unbeknownst to all the bad guys. They thought she was just a missing rebel, presumably presumed dead. She's been found alive, taken in by the big bad guys, and they figure out pretty quickly that she has some extreme form of magic in her own mind, keeping all of her secrets. So she does not have access to a lot of her own memories. There's a very intricate magic that has been put in place in order to keep all of that, not only from them, but from her. She cannot access her own memories. So she doesn't even know how she got where she got. She knows that the war did not end favorably for her side, but she's missing large pieces of everything. She also is a practitioner of a kind of magic that was looked down upon by the people that were on her side. But the people on the other side, the winning side, the bad guy side, is how it's being portrayed kind of in the beginning. Although it seems like there's a lot of gray area, there is a good and a bad, and our super duper bad guy has taken power, along with all of these major bad guy magical families who stayed loyal to him. And so in order to try and access the memories that she has locked away, the bad guys have sent her to not Draco's house. She refers to him as Farron, which is his last name. I forget what his first name is. It's like Caius or Karen or something like that. Not Draco. She is sent to Not Draco Manor, where Not Draco and his horrible, awful wife are entrusted with her imprisonment. And Farron, aka Not Draco, has been tasked by the big bad guy to access Helena's memories. The world that we are currently living in is very much a mix of if Harry Potter met the Handmaid's Tale and the bad guys had won in Harry Potter. Like, that is exactly the atmosphere that we are currently in. The bad guys are doing horrific things, some of them feeling very Handmaid's Tale, and there are horrible things happening left and right. This is incredibly dark. Your eyes do cross, like I said a little bit in the beginning, with the unloading of the magic and the history, but already I feel like I've got quite an understanding. There is a mystery not only of what has been done to our main character, but also why it has been done, what she has that would be really, really bad if it fell into the wrong hands, locked inside of her mind. So we are only, let's look at it. You see her? This is how much. We have so much more. And I have my theories on what I think is happening or what some of these things are being led to believe. Everyone is awful. Everybody's awful. Everything is terrible. And dark and bleak. And then there's magic. Our main character cannot access her own innate magic. I understand why the fanfiction was called Manacled, because she has these manacles that have been placed around her wrists, and there's a metal piece that goes through and basically makes it so that she is unable to access any of her innate magic. So she is magicless and a prisoner and has no access to a lot of her memories. So she is in a tight spot, living in the house of the right hand to the big bad, Mr. Not Draco Malfoy, Mr. Farron. So that's where we are. I'm enjoying ourselves. I will say this is not something that I've enjoyed picking up right before bed, because some of the things that are happening in this are a little bit messed up. So I've actually been stopping reading when I'm like, okay, we need to power down a little bit because I don't want this in my brain right before I go to sleep. That being said, I haven't been picking up anything nice. I've been picking up horror books instead. I don't know what that says about me, honestly. The other book that I'm currently reading that I just picked up from the library is Knock Knock Open Wide. This is incredibly shiny, and I'm sorry if I'm blinding you. This is a folk horror novel taking place in Ireland. I'm about 85 pages in right now. So we have two timelines. We have one timeline that is taking place in the 70s. The opening of the book, there is like a news article that lets you know kind of the outcome to the timeline that is taking place in the 70s. So you know that this girl is going to go missing after a party, but that she is going to be found. You then go through the story of what happens to her while she is missing, after she goes mysteriously missing after this party that she attends. You are also getting a timeline that is taking place in the 90s, and you have a young woman named Betty who is recently started attending a college. When she's there, she meets another young woman who she is instantly attracted to, and this young woman is the daughter of the woman who went missing in the 70s. So you know that we are going to be talking about the outcome, the repercussions, the consequences, the post-trauma of this woman that was kidnapped and what happened to her. There is a supernatural folklore angle to this as well. So far, so good. A little spooky, a little creepy. I'm interested to see how things start happening, especially because we know pretty quickly that there is some sort of television show, children's television show that sounds extra creepy that has something to do with the strange goings on, which you wouldn't think in folklore, but it's very folklore heavy. That's the best I can give you. I am about to finish up the audiobook that I'm currently listening to, and will be picking up another audiobook, but I haven't decided what. But I'll let you know when I figure out what I want to listen to. Oh, I still have my headphones in. These headphones are great because I can hear everything around me while still listening. Like, it doesn't block any sound out. But when I need sound blocked out, I have my noise canceling headphones. I will let you know what I pick up as far as audiobook. I will let you know when I get some reading done, when I finish something, you'll find out about it, because we had a great big ice storm come through. And so we are hunkered down. We are not going to be spending much time outside of the house. We were very lucky in that we weren't incredibly hard hit. We had a lot of sleet, which is what we wanted. I mean, honestly, we wanted snow because snow is beautiful, but we got sleet instead of a lot of extra ice. So right now we're just melting and it's slushy and gross outside. So let's do some reading, shall we? Hi. What's up? What do you kind of smell like dirt. I love you both. Hi. Let's do a quick update. I finally received you are really crooked, huh? Hold, please. If it's not better, there's nothing I can do about it. I finally received an audiobook from the library. We are currently reading Five Broken Blades. I really know nothing. I know this is a fantasy book and it's a part of a series and it's heisty. I think it's a little heist. I think we're going to get together, a ragtag group of people, to commit a crime together. That's all I really need to know. It's from the library. And I got just past the halfway point. Yes, I'm on page 593 of Alchemized. I stayed up a little late. Are you licking my book? No, it's fine. Just asking. And I only cried like twice, but it was like a continued cry. I think from like here to here, just crying. This is so dark. So many awful things are happening. When you reach part 2, there is a little bit of a time jump situation happening, and the book really picks up in, I'm going to call it pace, but I don't necessarily think that's true. It's just that we have a different sort of environment. We're in a different time period. Different things are happening. So it feels like it's moving a lot faster than our situation in the beginning, where we are kind of arriving at not Draco's house. I still have my thoughts and theories about what is happening. This is so dark and so messed up, and I'm loving it. And I don't know what that says about me. Eating it up. I am a little bit scared though. Like I'm pretty scared. If I've already cried and we haven't even gotten to the ending, I'm gonna sob. Like, I'm a crier to begin with, but these last just under 500 pages, right? Because this is a 1,000 page book. 1,024 pages. I'm gonna do math and I'll put it up on the screen. That's how many pages I have left. It's gonna break me. It's gonna break me. So I think I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from this. I've been listening to just the very beginnings of the audiobook when it came through the library this morning, so I'm not very far in. I think I'm like 3% in. So I don't even think I've been introduced to all of the characters, because each chapter has started with a new character in a new place being introduced. And I'm assuming we're getting 5, because it says 5 broken blades. So I'm assuming there's gonna be 5 of them. But I could be assuming wrong, because what is assuming? Making an out of you and me. So I think I'm going to pick up Knock Knock Open Wide. I might be able to knock that out. That was unintentional. Might be able to knock that out this evening. It's so flipping cold outside. It was 14 degrees this morning, and it's not going to get much warmer. But you know what we can do? Even if the power goes out, we can read. We got plenty of books to do so. So let's do some reading. I finished a book. We have finished Knock Knock Open Wide. And though I had planned to return it to the library today, that's not happening because we got almost a foot of snow yesterday, which honestly is quite a novelty here because we don't usually get snow. In fact, yesterday we got more snow in one single day than we had got in the last 10 years combined. So nobody knows what to do. Cheese hates it. Winnie loving every minute of it. So we are hunkered down and we're going to do some more reading today. And hopefully we'll be able to return this to the library in a couple of days. I ended up enjoying this one just fine. This is very folklore heavy, but has a very modern twist with the inclusion of this children's TV show that sounds creepy as hell. I really liked our main character, Ashlyn, who is the daughter of the character that is kidnapped, or I should say abducted, in the opening of this book. We get some answers about the abduction. There's some underlying dark society cult-like things happening, but you don't necessarily get like 1,000% of the answers of the folklore. You get little glimpses into it, but I kind of liked that. I don't need a breakdown, huge exposition of what's going on. You understand enough. You're creeped out enough. The ending was fine. I liked it just fine, and I would definitely pick up something from this author in the future. This was very dark and creepy and sinister and otherworldly. I enjoyed it. I got about, I'm going to say like 6 to 10% of the way into 5 Broken Blades. And I don't think it's a bad book. I just don't think I'm currently in the right mood for something like that. I was starting to get a little irritated with one of the characters that we were introduced to. It felt like they were doing a lot of telling me things out of the gate instead of letting me get to know the characters in a way where they were showing me who they were. It was a lot of, yeah, I get it. This is a bad guy. No, yeah, I get it. This is a bad guy. No, you don't have to tell me 10 times how bad this guy is. I get it. So I decided to put that one down. There was a couple people waiting on that book, so I returned it. I don't know if I'm going to pick up another audiobook right now, only because we have a butt ton of snow outside. So it's not like I'm going to be doing a lot of things where I would be listening to an audiobook. Instead, I'm kind of homebound right now. So perhaps I was thinking of picking up Girl Dinner. I think this is like sorority girls and cannibalism, maybe. I don't really know too much. It's supposed to be darkly funny. And I've read one book from this author previously and thought it was just fine. But this one seems to be getting a lot of praise from a lot of people. There is a huge amount of authors on the back of this. And I'm going to hope that they actually read this instead of just giving it a blurb. But I think we are following 2 people. Yes. It looks like we're following a sophomore in college and a professor. There's something about a sorority, and I think we start eating people. Sure, why not, you know? Hi. We have reached the 100-page mark of Girl Dinner. So let's tell you what this is about. This is the story of 2 different points of view taking place at the same college during sorority Greek rush. We have Sloane, who is a professor. She has gotten a job here at this university because her husband was offered a job on the tenure track. And so she gave up her job at the previous university that she was at to come and work here. Found out she was pregnant. So she spent the last 18 months caring for her child and has just started to get back into her job. And she is truly struggling with what it means to not only be her age group, a woman, but also a mother, and all of the different invisible pressures is how we'll put it. She spends a lot of time looking at social media and seeing these people living perfect lives where they're out milking cows and making sourdough bread. And she just doesn't understand why she too doesn't have all of her ducks in a row. We also have Nina, who is a sophomore who is participating in the rush and wants to become a member of the house, which is this one sorority that is just deemed the best, the most perfect. Everyone in it is not only beautiful and amazing and just seems to do everything so effortlessly, but they're smart and driven, and Nina wants to be a member of the house. She wants it so bad she can practically taste it. And in the opening of this book, Nina has begun rush, Sloane has started working again, and they're both struggling with what they're portraying externally and how they're feeling internally. This has definitely got a lot of commentary on how women are constantly viewing themselves as not nearly as perfect as they need to be, whether that's comparing yourself to someone on social media, whether that's watching these perfect sorority girls and wanting nothing more than to emulate that perfection, connection. But so far, it is the house. The sorority is kind of the glue that is going to connect these two characters, as Sloane has been offered a advisory role within the sorority in order to kind of prove to the university that she's supposed to be here and should have this job. But also Nina has entered into the sorority and just basking in the perfection that is around her and trying to portray herself as someone worthy of being here. It's interesting so far because there's been a few ominous hints that the sorority itself might not necessarily have something sinister going on, but the need that a lot of the sorority sisters have, there's a meal that they all have. It's like a Monday night meal, and the hunger they feel to eat this food seems a little bit suspicious. But there's also this moment where Nina talks about how having all of these women not have any hangups about eating large quantities of food, satiating their appetites, because it's just women around. There's no cameras taking pictures of them. There's no need to say, I shouldn't have this. There's no restrictions on what they should be eating, and there's no men around to perceive them eating handfuls of chocolate cake if that's what they want. They don't necessarily eat like animals. They just eat with the freedom of those not being observed or worrying about what they're putting into their bodies. But there's also a little suspicion. Nina brings it up. There's nobody that has any sort of food allergies or restrictions. There's no vegetarians. There's no vegans. There's no people with celiac in the sorority. Even one sorority sister makes the comment, even if you have those things after having these meals, you won't. So there's something sinister going on with the girl dinners. And you wonder how Sloane is also going to get wrapped up in this as well, because she is constantly comparing herself to everyone, either in close proximity or in social media proximity to her, and her wanting to emulate that, having everything together. And she's also being pulled into this sorority's orbit as well. I'm liking it so far. I will say, I remember saying this about this author's last book that I read. I would hate to play her in Scrabble. She loves a word I've never heard of. And most of the time you can figure it out with context clues. There's a few words where I've had to be like, what the hell does that even mean? And give it a Google. It works a little bit better in this book than it did in the other books, seeing as how we're in a collegiate setting. Even if it's not necessarily very like college focused, it's much more sorority and girlhood focused, womanhood focused. It still works a little bit better having these, words that would win you all the points in Scrabble. She must have all the thesauruses. I feel like she's one of those people that loves a good word, an obscure word that she's just like, oh, I found the perfect sentence to put it in. But so far I'm enjoying this, and we'll see how dark it gets, because I have a feeling that we're really going to kind of dive into the darkness of womanhood in this book. I still have not picked up Alchemized again. I will, because when I start reading it, I just don't want to stop. But it's so dark, and it's just about war and surviving a war and what these people are being put through and these different sides of this war. It's a little hard to put in your brain, but I really am enjoying it. I will get back to it soon. No, leave her alone. That's why I'm holding her. I finished girl dinner, but before we talk about that, let's talk about this. If you see her little tiny Ewok head, that is because we are currently dog sitting. So she is ancient and kind of grouchy and doesn't like the other dogs. This is Mika. And so Mika makes me pick her up and carry her around a lot. I'm getting quite the arm workout while she's here. I mean, she's adorable. She kind of smells bad, but it's not her fault. She's also not the most friendly, but she likes me, so I feel very special. All right, me and Mika are here to talk about girl dinner. I ended up giving this 3 stars. I enjoyed quite a bit of it, but I feel like I should warn anyone going into this book that the cannibalism aspect is very small. It is kind of a metaphor that is being used. I mean, not even until past the halfway point. You have your suspicions about it happening before then, but it's really not something that is brought up, and it is not gone into a lot of like gory detail as well. It is something that is like ritualistic, as almost like a sorority women's group, kind of like a rite of passage is to enjoy the cannibalistic nature. Sorority as a metaphor for like these women being cannibalized by life, being cannibalized by each other, blah, 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 blah. I wanted to just read the beginning of the author's note to you because it'll kind of set you up for success with this book. This book is satire. The focus on white cisgender, able, attractive, upwardly mobile, and university-educated women is intentional, and many of the views expressed herein are ironic and or aggressively limited in scope in service to the narrative. We're talking about sisterhood and the patriarchy, but also these women doing things to each other, everybody judging themselves based on everybody's highlight reel. There's talk of social media, trad wives, of sorority sisters. It is very much a satire and a commentary, and these women just happen to be cannibals. The fact that they're cannibals is such a small and limited part of this. This is not a horror. This is definitely like a satire that kind of has some cannibalism moments. I liked it just fine. I stand by the fact that I would never, ever play Olivie Blake in Scrabble. Her vocabulary is impressive. I'm not mad I read it. I've just kind of been lukewarm on everything I feel like I've read from this author, and that's fine. That's fine. Everybody's gonna take a minute. We're gonna take a deep breath. We're not gonna bark. If you can only imagine how much barking has been happening in my everyday life. I've got one last book to finish up. I think I'm on page 700 and something of Alchemized. And if I just sit down, every time I pick it up, I am absolutely enthralled. Like, do not want to put it down. It's just the act of picking it up that is hard because it is, one, very heavy, and two, very emotionally heavy. So I have to be ready for just the horrors of war. But I have to go to the library. And so I'm going to walk to the library on this super chilly day, return some books, and see what they have waiting for me. Everybody say, bye, Mika. Da, 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 da. Excuse me? No, can I? Can I just gonna scooch in over here. Thanks. All right. We're here because I finished a book. I finished her and I gave her 5 stars. Is this a perfect book? No, this is not perfect. Did I absolutely eat this up? Yes, I most certainly did. 1,000 and some extra pages later, I finished this book and I gave it 5 stars. But I want you to go into this knowing there are some things in this book that I would say are not perfect, are not great, but overall my reading experience was so emotional. I was so invested in this that I had to give it 5 stars on that alone. The crying I did. The amount of crying. In the end, this is a story of war. We have these 2 characters on opposing sides of the war who are just trying to survive. That is all they are trying to do. In the beginning, they are trying to survive individually. As the story goes on, they are trying to ensure the survival of each other, which can be a little frustrating because both of these main characters are the type of people that will sacrifice themselves over and over again for the people they love and care about. Let me back up a little bit. This is definitely a story of war, and we have an ultimate bad guy who I mentioned won the Wizard War. But that doesn't mean that the good guy side is just pure and shiny and everybody's perfect. There is a lot of gray area going on in this because this is war, and in a realistic war, most people will justify everything they're doing to ensure their side wins and the narrative that they are pushing wins. Now, we do have someone that is like extra bad, and even the people on the bad guy side aren't the biggest fans of the big bad guy. He's super scary. But that doesn't mean that everybody on that side of the war is the most horrible person ever. There are definitely horrible people on that side, but there are also people who were enticed to this side for many different reasons, and then people they love and care about or other relationships were used to ensure their loyalty. They are now stuck on this side, whether the things that brought them over there in the beginning had to do with them feeling oppressed by the side that was in current power at the time. There's a lot of gray area there. There's also the good guy side that has some pretty awful characters on it, but because they have aligned themselves with the good guys, they are then by association viewed as good people, even though the they're doing is war crimes. So this is really a story of war, but also there's a lot of like nuance in the commentary of war, the propaganda of war, how both sides are able to keep their people motivated, ensure loyalty by the stories they're telling. And that's kind of a through line in this as well, is some people needing to be held up into the light as these mythic, legendary good guys and super duper big bad guys, but there's a lot of smaller characters along the way who have important roles to play who are gray in their in their morals in order to ensure their survival of their life to ensure the survival of the people they love. It comes down to, in the end, I just want to get the people I love through this, out of this, to the other side of this. So that is what this turns into. And then we have these people that keep throwing themselves at danger over and over again. Oh my God. I will say the end of this does feel a little quick when we're wrapping things up, when we're tying everything up in a bow, but I didn't necessarily dislike that because, again, we had spent a stupid amount of pages with these people and I'd cried so many times. I was okay with if we kind of got to our ending a little bit quicker, glossed over more mundane things. I'd spent so much time in a war with these people. Again, do I think this is perfect? No, there's some parts of it that I could really nitpick about, but I enjoyed the reading experience and the overall story and the emotions it was bringing out of me and the commentary on the propaganda and the language of stories and the stories being told and blah, 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 blah. Enough for 5 stars. I really did enjoy this. And if you're at all interested in a dark fantasy that has a strong romance that is the through line throughout the entire thing, but it is a dark romance and there's questionable things happening, I think Alchemized is worth your time. Do I know if it holds up to Manacled? No, I have no idea. And I think I've spent enough time in this world with these characters. I need a break. That was a lot. But that, kids, is where we're going to end this vlog. If you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, please subscribe. I hope you're reading good books out there, wherever you are, and I'd love to hear about them. And we'll see you next time.